Excuse me. Excuse me. Many people are saying excuse me. Many people are saying excuse me. Many people are saying excuse me. Many people say crazy, 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 crooked, stupid, evil, stupid, crooked. That was the most powerful man on the planet. And that was the one man in America who cracked the code on exactly what that sounds like, and has been doing it fearlessly for longer than most comedians have been alive. His name is Dana Carvey. And this is the story of why Donald Trump, with all his lawyers, all his platforms, all his threats, and all his raw presidential power, cannot do a single thing to stop him. But before we get into the fight, you need to understand the weapon, because Dana Carvey is not some late-night comedian who stumbled into Trump impressions because they got clicks. This is a man who has been dissecting politicians the way a heart surgeon dissects a chest cavity, carefully, precisely, obsessively, for more than 4 decades. Carvey landed on Saturday Night Live in 1986. He spent 7 full seasons on that stage, carving out some of the most unforgettable characters in the history of American television. The church lady, Garth from Wayne's World, Hans and Franz. But underneath all those wigs and costumes, his true gift was always the same thing: presidential impressions. And here is what separated him from every other comedian who ever threw on a cheap wig and squeezed out a bad voice. Carvey never went for the easy joke. He never did cheap mockery. He hunted for the rhythm, the specific verbal twitch, the exact cadence that made a person not just recognizable, but impossible to ignore. He once described his own method in a way that tells you everything you need to know. He said, "Trump always sounds like he's pitching a family vacation." That single observation is a masterclass. He is not searching for what is wrong with someone. He is searching for what is specific to them. And once he locks onto it, he owns it completely. But here is the chapter of Dana Carvey's life that almost nobody brings up, and it is the chapter that makes everything happening right now make perfect sense. I just want to go back for a second that you had this 25-year friendship, yes, with President George H.W. Bush, a real friendship. It was really, I did not realize that. I read that in the notes and I thought, oh my God, he never took it personally, right? No. I mean, he loses the election. I make fun of him on Saturday Night Live. Then he invites me to the White House, and my wife and I stayed in the Lincoln bedroom, no kidding, for 2 nights. And all anyone wanted to know was whether we made love in the Lincoln bedroom. I'm serious. Did you do it? Did you? You know, I'm like, I'm not. You have to, though. Well, I'm not going to say, but my son's middle name is Abe. Let that settle for a moment. George H.W. Bush, the man whose voice Carvey borrowed on national television, the man whose catchphrases Carvey invented from thin air, phrases the public started quoting as if Bush himself had actually said them. That man picked up the phone, called Dana Carvey, and invited him to sleep in the Lincoln bedroom. Not once, 2 nights. They became friends for life after that. Real friends. Bush would call Carvey out of the blue, send him handwritten notes, show up beside him at charity events. Bush himself once said that the ability to laugh at each other was a very fundamental thing. That is what it looks like when a president is secure enough in his own skin to absorb a punch and smile. Now hold that image tight, because what comes next is the sharpest contrast you will ever see, and it could not be more complete. Where Bush laughed, Trump seethed. Where Bush made a friend, Trump made an enemy list. And this is not opinion. This is not spin. This is documented, time-stamped, verified behavior. A paper trail that stretches from 2019 all the way to February 2026. Let's walk through the receipts. One by one. Trump posted online. How do the networks get away with these total Republican hit jobs without retribution? Very unfair and should be looked into. This is the real collusion. That post came after a comedy sketch, a Saturday night sketch on a comedy show. Nothing more. So I'm going to sign these papers for emergency, and then I'll immediately be sued, and the ruling will not go in my favor, and then I'll end up in the Supreme Court, and then I'll call my buddy Kavanaugh, and I'll say, it's time to repay the Donnie, and he'll say, new phone, who dis? And then the Mueller report will be released, crumbling my house of cards, and I could just plead insanity and do a few months in the puzzle factory, and my personal hell of playing president will finally be over. Trump's reaction to that sketch was not a shrug. It was not a witty comeback. It was not silence. He publicly questioned whether the FCC or the Federal Election Commission should open an investigation into Saturday Night Live, suggesting that a comedy sketch was actually an illegal campaign contribution to the Democratic Party. His own legal team had to sit him down and explain carefully that satire is protected speech under the First Amendment. And according to reports from inside the room at the time, Trump's response after hearing that legal briefing was to ask, can something else be done about it? The man wanted to use the full weight and machinery of the federal government to shut down jokes, and that was only his first term. In July 2025, CBS announced that The Late Show with Stephen Colbert would not be renewed. Trump posted on Truth Social almost immediately. He said he absolutely loved that Colbert had been fired, said his talent was even less than his ratings. And then, almost without pausing, he pivoted. He said he thought Jimmy Kimmel would be next, said Kimmel had even less talent than Colbert. The President of the United States, actively celebrating the cancellation of a television show and publicly calling for the firing of individual comedians, one by one, name by name. Tonight, we are all Jimmy Kimmel. I still have a show though, right? Okay, good. Yesterday, after threats from Trump's FCC chair, ABC yanked Kimmel off the air indefinitely. That is blatant censorship. And then came February 2026, the Grammy Awards. The Grammy Awards are the worst, virtually unwatchable. CBS, lucky not to have this garbage litter their airwaves any longer. The host, Trevor Noah, whoever he may be, is almost as bad as Jimmy Kimmel at the low-ratings Academy Awards. Noah said incorrectly about me that Donald Trump and Bill Clinton spent time on Epstein Island. Wrong. I can't speak for Bill, but I have never been to Epstein Island nor anywhere close. And until tonight's false and defamatory statement, have never been accused of being there. Not even by the fake news media. Noah, a total loser. Better get his facts straight and get them straight fast. It looks like I'll be sending my lawyer to sue this poor, pathetic, talentless dope of an MC and suing him for plenty of money. Every legal expert who looked at that threat said the same thing. The lawsuit would collapse on contact. Satire is protected speech. It has always been protected speech. But that was never the point. The point, and Trump has never even tried to disguise this, is intimidation. Make the comedian think twice before the next joke. Make the next comedian think 3 times. Make the one after that sit in silence, wondering whether the laugh is worth the lawsuit. That is the pattern, and it has worked. Colbert is off the air. Kimmel was suspended. The chill is real. You can feel it spreading through the industry like cold water under a door, except for one man. While other comedians were running calculations, calling their network lawyers, and wondering if the punchline was worth the price, Dana Carvey walked onto the Saturday Night Live stage for its historic 50th season premiere in September 2024 and did this. Seriously, I run the country now, and America's going to be like one of my rockets. You know, they're super cool and super fun, but there's a slight chance it could blow up and everybody dies. Hello, I'm Doc Mega. See you in the White House. USA. USA. Elon Musk, who had poured nearly $120 million into Trump's campaign by that point, was not amused. He jumped onto his own platform and called SNL a dying show. Said Carvey just sounds like Dana Carvey. Said the show was increasingly out of touch with reality. The clip pulled almost 6 million views on YouTube. So who exactly was out of touch? And Carvey did not slow down, not even a little. 2 months later, in March 2025, he appeared on Real Time with Bill Maher. And what happened next was something Maher himself did not expect. What he said. He's a smart cookie. He's a tough cookie. He's a cookie monster. This what he's smart. Everybody talks about it. He's like a ship so hard. Maher could barely get a word in. The entire segment became the Dana Carvey show. Nobody in the audience was complaining. And then Carvey unveiled what he called his work-in-progress Elon Musk impression. A mumbling, scattered riff about going to Mars, and the crowd dissolved into helpless laughter. No bitterness, no anger, no political lecture disguised as comedy, just a 70-year-old comedy legend who found the rhythm, found the absurdity, and absolutely refused to stop pointing at it. Fires in California. The whole state was on fire. Trump comes out. I guess they got him in a room and told him about land management. The whole state's on fire. And Trump comes out and goes, "You got to rake the leaves. You got to rake the leaves." That right there. That is why Donald Trump cannot touch Dana Carvey. And here is the real reason, not just the funny one. Trump's entire playbook runs on a single move. Discredit the target. Find their weakness. Call them partisan. Call them low-rated. Call them talentless. Call them irrelevant. Repeat until the label sticks. It worked on Colbert, at least commercially. It worked on Kimmel, at least temporarily. It works because most of the time, there is something to grab onto, some crack in the armor, some angle of attack. With Carvey, there is nothing. The wall is smooth. There is no crack. Trump cannot call him partisan, because this is a man who spent 25 years as close personal friends with a Republican president and slept in that president's White House. Trump cannot call him talentless, because Dana Carvey is widely recognized as the greatest impressionist Saturday Night Live has ever produced across 5 full decades of the show's existence. Trump cannot call him irrelevant because SNL just wrapped its historic 50th season and every single Carvey clip pulls millions of views the instant it hits the internet. The playbook has no page for this situation. The binder is empty, and Carvey himself has explained why he keeps doing it. Even now, when the atmosphere around political comedy in America has become genuinely threatening for working comedians. He said his goal is to make the impression funny to everybody, not just Democrats, not just people who already dislike Trump, everybody. He said that with Biden, if he could make Biden funny to everybody, then he was exactly where he wanted to be. That is the entire philosophy. That is the whole secret. Because when you watch Dana Carvey do Donald Trump, you are not watching a political attack. You are not watching someone trying to change your vote. You are watching a man who has found something genuinely, structurally, unavoidably funny. The hands, the cadence, the rhythm, the Batman villain grandiosity of it all. And he wants you to find it funny too, no matter how you vote, no matter which cable channel you watch before bed. And that cross-partisan laughter, that shared involuntary grin that crosses every political line in the country, that is the one thing Trump's lawyers cannot file a motion against. For years now, Trump has treated mockery like a threat to national security. Networks pressured, lawsuits threatened, posts deleted, shows suspended, cancellations celebrated on social media like military victories. He built an entire operation, a machine, around controlling what Americans are allowed to find funny about him. And for a while, the machine worked. Comedians started calculating risk. Networks started consulting legal departments before approving punchlines. The room got quieter. Dana Carvey never ran that calculation. He never made that call to the lawyer's office. He just kept walking onto stages, doing the hands, doing the voice, doing the squint, and turning the most powerful man on the planet into a guy who sounds like he is trying to sell you a timeshare in Florida. No rage behind it. No political manifesto tucked in his pocket. Just a comedian who locked onto something structurally, undeniably funny, and refused to pretend he did not see it. There is no executive order for that, no FCC ruling that covers it, no lawsuit that survives even 10 minutes of contact with the First Amendment. The impression is protected. The comedian is a living legend with a 40-year track record that predates Trump's entire political career by decades. And the audience, across party lines, across platforms, across every attempt to make them stop, is still laughing. That is not just a comedy story, that is a power story. And right now, in this moment, Dana Carvey is winning it. George H.W. Bush invited the man who mocked him into the Lincoln bedroom. Donald Trump tried to use the FCC to silence a sketch show. One of those men understood that the ability to laugh at yourself is its own kind of strength. The other one proved over and over and over again that he does not have it. Dana Carvey did not set out to embarrass a president. He just kept showing up and doing exactly what he has always done. And it turns out, in a White House built entirely on controlling the image, the most dangerous thing in America right now is a 70-year-old comedian with a gift for voices and absolutely nothing to lose. Colbert is off the air. Kimmel was suspended. Trevor Noah got a legal threat for a Grammy joke. Share this video, because silence is exactly what they are counting on. If you believe the most powerful thing left in American public life is a comedian who refuses to be intimidated, subscribe. That is what this channel is built on. Real stories, real clips, real stakes.